Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopah Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। Hare Krishna. It is my fortune and Jai Shri Radha Nirma. It is my fortune to speak something on Srimad Bhagavatam for my purification, and also it is my service to Lord in glorifying. And I would like to seek the blessings of their lordships, all the acharyas and Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled Vaishnavas. So this I was just thinking, because Janmashtami is coming. On the occasion of Janmashtami, we are hearing very wonderful leelas of Lord. It is going on in the morning and in the evening. So on that occasion, we are also discussing Akrura's pastime. But I wanted to just little more help ourselves understand if we can meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. Also, because this pastime actually helps us to glorify Lord in a very very wonderful consciousness and a very wonderful devotional mood. Also, it sets in. So bringing Janmashtami means actually making Lord, inviting Lord to take birth in this world. So it also means inviting Lord, so that if Lord can appear within our lives, and also Lord can appear within our heart. So if Lord has to appear within our heart, the ground has to be very fertile and the ground has to be properly tilled, and at the same time it has to be a very pleasant experience for Lord to come. So one thing that makes it very pleasant, one is Balram, before he comes and he plows the field. That means the anarthas have to go, but that itself is not sufficient. Also, there has to be a devotional mood. Then it will become easy for Lord to come. So actually, there are 19 marks on the lotus feet of the Lord. We may know. On Krishna's right foot, there are 11 marks, and there are 8 marks on the left foot of Krishna. And I'll just discuss one, just because to give introduction, and then we'll go ahead. So on the left heel of Krishna, there is a fish. The fish indicates that it cannot live without water. It needs the presence of water for its sustenance, for its very life exists only within water. So so similarly, for the surrendered devotees, there is no other place than the lotus feet of the Lord. So they have their meditation only on the lotus feet. They have given their life for serving the lotus feet. So that indicates this one. And also another point, it indicates that fishes, they cannot live in a dry place. They have to need a liquid or they need a very wet place, then only they can sustain. So similarly, Krishna will not come, or Krishna's lotus feet will not stay in that heart where there is dryness, or where there is the heart has become hard, or due to multiple reasons. Either it can be envy, hatred, or criticism, or there is a duplicity. In that heart, Krishna's lotus feet cannot stay. So, but when the heart becomes very wet with the emotions for the devotees, for the Lord, then the fishes in the Lord's consciousness before he goes and meets the Lord. So that's what we will recite some verses, and also we will go ahead and discuss some of the details. So actually, this was an order which was given to Kamsa. Kamsa gave the order to Akrura that you go and fetch these two boys who are there in Vrindavan, because it is said that Kamsa was sending so many demons, one after another, and Krishna was finishing them off. So actually, Kamsa was becoming restless. He was thinking, he had sent Keshi. Early morning, Krishna killed him, and in the daytime, he killed Vyomasur also. And on one day only, he killed two asuras. So Kamsa is becoming very much restless. He's thinking, somehow I have to finish this two boys, otherwise they'll not allow me to exist. So he says, you go and fetch him to Mathura, and then I'll see what I can do for these two boys. And then Akrura, actually it is said, he had three states of emotions and negative emotions which he gave up. One was fear, and another was, I'm just saying, it was very nice point. Uh, he gave up his fear, he gave up his pride, and also he gave up his lamentation after he hearing Kamsa's order. He gave up fear of what? Because Kamsa, he was working under Kamsa. He knows that if he goes against his order, or if he sees that I am not loyal to him, then he may at any time kill me off, isn't it? Because Devaki, as soon as he found that Devaki's son is going to be there, who is going to kill me, he was ready to finish her off at that moment. So that means anybody who was working under him, they were actually in fear. So he was so much fearful. But at the same time, when he came to meet Krishna, he gave up his fear, and then he started openly showing his love and affection and his servitude to Krishna. So this is one point. So that means he did not have that fear. And he also knew at any time he or his family could be killed. So, and also he gave up his pride because he was a minister under Kamsa. That means he had a very great status and great economical strength also. Everything he had. He was aristocratic member. He was actually worshipped by all the villagers. So in that sense, he had that position. But you will see in this discussion how he gives up his pride and he is ready to fall at the feet of Krishna and also on the footprints of Krishna, though nobody is there. That means he was genuinely, he had given up his pride. And third thing he gives up is lamentation. Lamentation is because if one knows that I have certain, now Kamsa is at any time he's going to either kill me or my family or he's going to give trouble. But that lamentation which was there in his mind, he gave up even that. So in that sense, he started traveling. And then while he was traveling, very wonderful verses that come. And he had this very beautiful meditation that was going on. In that meditation, there are few verses which I will just recite. If you have also, you can refer. 10:38:4. Kim maya acharitam bhadram kim taptam paramam tapah kim vatapyarhate dattam yadrakshyamyadya keshavam. Akrura is thinking, Kim maya acharitam bhadram. Have I done any pious activity in my life? If I have done, probably, because this great fortune is coming in my life, surely I don't know what great thing I have done because of which I am getting this opportunity. He's not thinking that he did it because of which it is there. He's thinking, I don't know how I could have done. Which great activity was that because of which I am getting this opportunity? Kim taptam paramam tapaha. What great austerity did I do? 10:38:4. 38. Is there? Akrura's arrival in Vrindavan. Oh no, 33. Sorry, 3. Sorry. So, Kim taptam paramam tapaha. What great austerity have I performed? Because of which I am getting this opportunity. Kim vatapi arhate dattam. That means what charity did I give? And which person did I give? Because of which I am getting this opportunity. Yad drakshyamya adya keshavam. I am getting this opportunity to see drakshyami. So this is what he's thinking. So that means a devotee always is in this humble spirit that if he gets a very wonderful opportunity, even in that situation, he thinks actually that opportunity, whatever Lord is giving, it is not because of me, but it is some causeless mercy which is there, because of which I am getting this opportunity. So that's how a devotee always thinks. Yeah. And the next verse. Mamaita durlabham manya uttama shloka darshanam Vishayatmano yatha brahma kirtanam shudra janmanaha. He's saying that I'm taken birth in such a uh, actually he's saying that I am actually a materialistic person. Vishaya Atmana. That means I am absorbed myself in sense gratification. That means I am absorbed in this court activities and being ministered to Kamsa. I am actually in not a very fortunate position. But and I have got this opportunity to see the Supreme Lord, Uttama Shloka Darshanam. Now, what is this opportunity? It is just like Kirtanam Shudra Janmanaha. Brahma Kirtanam. That means I have just like a Shudra, if he is given opportunity to recite Vedic mantras, for him, first of all, he'll not be able to recite, and neither is fit to do that job. So similarly, he's thinking, I don't deserve to see Lord face to face, and because I'm so much of materialistic consciousness, but I've been given this opportunity. So he is feeling himself very fortunate. So I had been just hearing one of the quotation of one of the great sannyasis. He was saying that many times when we think there are so many materialists who are there around, and we think and we see them that they are breaking regulative principles, they are behaving so uncivilized way, and they have such materialistic consciousness. When we see such people, we think I'm much better than them because I'm chanting Hare Krishna and I'm following so many principles in my life. I'm leading a pure life. But just see that they are so much downtrodden, they are so fallen. Many times we may think like this, but that consciousness may not be a very fertile ground for our own betterment and neither for somebody else's good. So we can't do better for them, or neither can we do better for ourselves. The consciousness could be or should be ideally is that I am more fortunate that I have been put in this situation by the mercy of devotees and by the mercy of Lord. I am more fortunate because I have received this causeless mercy. And the devotee always thinks that I'm more fortunate rather than I'm better than somebody else. So that is the so if you see the consciousness of Akrura is very similar. He's thinking that I have become fortunate. And also we'll see slowly that how he starts even thanking Kamsa. So that will come. Now he also starts saying, Maivam Mama, this is next verse. I think it is fifth verse. Maivam Mama Adhamasyapi Syadeva Achyuta Darshanam Riyamana Kalanadya Kvachit Tarati Kaschanam. He's saying now, okay, now these kind of thoughts unnecessarily keep thinking of only me. So let me put aside my all these thoughts. He says, Syat, let enough of these kind of thoughts, whatever I have. And now, but I am just now Maivam Evam Adhamasyapi. Now I have got an opportunity, though I am Adhama, I have got an opportunity to see the Supreme Lord, Achyuta Darshana. Now it may be possible sometimes, just like a river. Now suppose somebody is thrown off in the waters and is there in the current of river, and the current of water actually takes one in wherever that current is flowing. Now sometimes that river of water can also take him to the shore. It is not that it will take always one away, it may also take him to the shore. So that's what he's thinking now. Now by great fortune, I've been somehow Kala is very fortunate on me that it is taking me to the lotus feet of the Lord. And next, sixth verse. Mama adya amangalam nashtam phalavams chaiva me bhavah yan namasye bhagavato Yogi Dhyeya Angri Pankajam. He is saying, today, all my inauspiciousness in my heart is completely destroyed. So, we also hear there is a Kevalashtakam where the devotee is singing very wonderfully. Madhuram madhurebhyopi mangalebhyopi mangalam pavanam pavanebhyopi harernamaiva kevalam. He's saying madhuram madhurebhyopi. The Lord's holy name is not different than the Lord. So, in that sense, Lord's holy name is not, it is so sweet that nothing of this world's sweetness can be compared to it. All the sweets, when it is put together, still it will be lesser than the sweetness of the Lord. And Mangalebhyopi Mangalam, it is all auspicious. That means any auspiciousness in the world cannot be compared with the auspiciousness of the Lord. And Pavanebhyopi Pavanam, that means of all the purifying things, the purifying potency of the Lord's holy name is most wonderful. So now he's saying, all my inauspiciousness from my life will go, and all my sinful activities that also will go. And when I offer my obeisances to the lotus feet of the Lord, whom all the yogis are also offering, and they're meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's what all the yogis are doing. Now, what do yogis do? This is a very wonderful verse from 3:28:21. If I can open, we may think, what are the yogis supposed to do? Yogis are all they're all meditating, but whom do they meditate on? Do they meditate on according to nowadays modern history? All yogis, what are they taught? They are taught to meditate on some light, or they are taught to meditate on some breathing. But that kind of a meditation is not at all confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, because Kapila Muni is very clearly saying what one should meditate on. Even a yogi, Ashtanga yogi, what should he meditate on? He's saying this verse. Sanchintayet Bhagavatas Charanaravindam. If you all have, you can also recite. Sanchintayet Bhagavatas Charanaravindam. Vajrankusha Dhvaja Saroru Halanchanadhyam. उत्तंग रक्त विलसन नख चक्रवाला ज्योत्स्ना विराहत महद हृदयांधकारम. He's saying sanchintayet means it is not if you want to do meditation you can do. He's not saying sanchintayet means one should do. There is no other option. The option is only one. That is, one should meditate on Bhagavatas Charanaravindam, the Supreme Lord's lotus feet only. And what does that lotus feet? Then what does it? What do you meditate on? Lotus feet means what? He says there are marks on the lotus feet of the Lord. That's what one should meditate on. What are the marks? Vajra, Ankusha, Dhvaja, Saroruha, Lanchanadhyam. He's saying there are many marks. Here only he's mentioning hardly 4 or 5. Vajra refers to what? Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is in the hand of Indra. He says, it is said, if one meditates on the Vajra of the lotus feet of the Lord, it is said that he can become like Indra. So how many of us feel that we want to become like Indra? After reading Bhagavatam, we feel no, at least I may not want to become like Indra. But it is said Indra is also not or just an ordinary soul. It is said Indra has such Indra also is a very great devotee of the Lord, that he has an audience with the Lord. If he wishes to meet the Lord, he can meet the Lord. That means he has done so much of great bhakti also, though he may have some kind of But the focus is he's also a very great devotee, because of which he is actually being given such a responsible position, and he's actually ruling all the demigods. So one can become actually like Indra, it is said. And also, that thunderbolt is usually used to break the mountains. Now, same with that Vajra, if we can meditate on, it can break the mountain of sin that is there in the heart. So that means that Vajra has that capacity. And then Ankusha. And Ankusha means what? Elephant goad, they say. Now, let's say if you want to control an elephant, they use that goad and they hit and they make the elephant calm down and they control the elephant. So, in that sense, Ankusha, then why is that goad representing, why is it that goad there in the lotus feet of the Lord? It is said the goad in the lotus feet of the Lord, when the devotee meditates on, that goad actually can control the elephantine mind of a devotee. That means why elephantine mind? That mind of a devotee can be actually as wild as an elephant, and that mind can actually take a devotee. That mind can actually make a devotee mad, in the sense what he can actually become completely uncontrolled. That is the when elephant is completely uncontrolled, very becomes it can create havoc wherever it is there. But actually, if it is controlled, it can actually do very wonderful tasks. If you have seen, there are some videos where the elephant is painting, or elephant is doing some plucking some flowers, and like that elephant can do multiple good activities also. It can go and garland somebody. It can do many good activities also. Similarly, if mind has potential to, when it is controlled, it can do many wonderful things. But if it is not controlled, actually it can create havoc. So similarly, that if a devotee can meditate on the Ankusha of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, that actually the devotee mind can be controlled. And then Dhwaja of the Supreme, that Dhwaja which is there in the lotus feet of the Lord, actually it represents, just like suppose somebody wants to we say victory, they have won a victory. Then what do they signify? Immediately they'll raise their flag and show that we have won. So similarly, that shows that for a devotee there is always victory. If he is meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, there is a victory for the devotee. At no point of time the devotee actually will get defeated in the material world if he is actually meditating on the Supreme Lord. So that's what it says. Saroruha is a lotus. Lotus actually represents, actually it is a significance of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. That Saroruha, so that means for a devotee, if he is actually meditating on the Supreme Lord, the goddess of fortune is also there for a devotee. That means he can get that motherly, he can have a goddess of fortune being his mother. She can always be there to protect him and to show that affection for the devotee. And also, lotus indicates, just like if you know the lake actually becomes very beautiful if there is a presence of lotuses in the lake. Isn't it true? So that lake, the devotee's mind is also compared to the lake. So the lake of a devotee actually also becomes very beautiful if when the devotee actually meditates on this lotus of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. And also, the lotus will not grow. Again, very similar to the fish. It will not grow when there is a very dry place. It actually needs that wet place. So similarly, in the heart of a devotee, which has a very wonderful spiritual emotion, that actually is a source for the lotus of, if you see even Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, there also it is said, the lotus has to bloom in our heart also. So that blooming is possible only when there are right spiritual emotions, and then the lotus also in the heart actually can grow. And then Lanchanadhyam, that means like this, there are many marks on the lotus feet of the Lord, which actually have a very wonderful significance. And these are the marks that a devotee ideally should meditate on. Then he's saying, not only this, Uttunga Rakta Vilasan Nakachakravala. The devotee also should meditate on the arc of the nails. Rakta Vilasan. That means on that lotus feet, there are lotus toenails. And they are all shining like brilliant moons. And it is all giving cooling moon rays. If you see, even on the lotus feet, there is a half moon. So that half moon, it represents that the devotee, actually it says, just like the moon is growing to become a full moon, similarly when the devotee is actually meditating, he may have so many imperfections. But when he actually is meditating, he can actually become a fully blown, pure devotee. So that's what it says. Also, it says that the half moon refers to the moon here, who actually is appreciated for all its beauty. That moon becomes shriveled up. He becomes very much ashamed seeing the toenail moonshine, which is there on the lotus feet of the Lord. He becomes shriveled up and he becomes like a half moon. Like that it is said. So, Uttunga Rakta Vilasan Nakachakravala. And Jyotsna Virahata Mahadhrudayandakara. That means when the devotee is actually meditating on this, the brilliance which is emanating from the Lord's lotus feet, that brilliance actually can nullify the ignorance which is there in the heart. Mahad Hridayandhakaram. So for a devotee, how does his ignorance go? We may say that, okay, Vajra is removing all the sinful, mountainous sinful reaction. But how does the root of the sin? The root of the sin is in ignorance. How does that ignorance go? Even ignorance will go away. Even for a yogi, what to speak of a devotee? So that means the entire karmic bondage, which is causing the living entity to repeat the cycle of birth and death in this material world, is everything is completely removed or vanquished for a devotee just by meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's what it is said. Then the next verse is also very nice, 22. Yet, if you all can also see and recite. Yat shaucha nisrita sarit pravarodakena tirthena murnyadikritena shiva shivo bhut dhyatur manah shamala shaila nisrishta vajram dhyayet shiram bhagavatas charanaravindam. One may ask, so how long should I meditate? Okay, today I'll do, and tomorrow can I do something else? It said, no, Chiram, for long time. Long time means actually it can be eternity, and ideally it should be eternity. That's what the devotee's goal of life is. Dhyayet Chiram Bhagavatas Charanaravindam. And then, what does he meditate on? If he meditates on that, what will happen? It said, Dhyatur Mana Shamala Shaila Nisrishta Vajram. It is said, all the contamination, all the sinful mountain, whatever is there, everything is going to Nisrishta Vajram. Just like a thunderbolt breaks the mountains. That's what ideally Indra does with his thunderbolt. He goes and as soon as the mountains, earlier they were growing, and he went and hit on them, and the mountains stopped growing. So all the mountainous sins, They're all completely powdered just by meditating on the Supreme Lord. And this lotus feet of the Lord is glorified in such a way that the water which flows through this lotus feet, what is that water? Ganga. That Ganga is actually held upon the head of Lord Shiva. And Shiva has attained his Shivatva only because he is holding that water which is there coming from the lotus feet of the Lord. And also, I was just telling about the half moon which is there on the lotus feet of the Lord. That also indicates that Lord Shiva is the person who has just become like that. And you can also become like that if you can actually meditate. Like that it also says. So that's how it is mentioned. Okay. So we will go back to our Akrura's pastime. So why I just mentioned is because in the 6th verse it was said, Yogi Dheya Angri Pankajam. Because the yogi is actually meditating on the Angri of the Supreme Lord. Like that. And next verse is saying, 7th verse. Kamso batadya kritame atyanugraham drakshe angri padmam prahito amuna hare kritaavatarasya duratyayam tamah purve ataran yannakha mandalatvisha. So he is saying, he is not actually, see, that's how devotees always, he's thinking that actually whatever has happened is for good. That actually Kamsa is only because of his causeless mercy that I am able to go now. Otherwise, where I would have been able to go and take his darshan. So he's thanking Kamsa. He's saying only because of his grace that I am able to go. Like that he's thinking. And so like that he's thinking. And then I'll only see some few verses. And then I'll go ahead. This verse is very good. 12th verse, if you can go. You all also can recite. Yasyakhilamīv habe sumangalai. Yasyakhilamīv habe sumangalai. Vacho vimishra gunakarma janmabhihi. Pranandi shubhanti punanti vai jagat. Yastat virakta shavashobhanamata. This is also very amazing verse. He is actually saying how with Krishna what will happen and without Krishna what will happen. He is giving a very contrasting examples also. And he's saying, Yasya Akhila Amiva Habisumangalai. Amiva is sin. And just by just because of Krishna, what will happen if I meditate on Guna Karma Janma of the Supreme Lord, and if I also speak it out? One thing is I meditate, and also when I speak, what will happen is Amiva Habi Sumangalai. It actually destroys all throughout the environment. It will destroy all the sin, and it will bring out auspiciousness everywhere. Vacho Vimishra Gunakarma Janmabhihi. And it says it has 3 effects. It says first is Pranandi. Pranandi means it gives life to everyone, without which nobody can have life. Now, if you see, even Shukadeva Goswami, when he's saying Shodasha Shodashatmakaha, he says all the 16 elements through which the material existence has formed, the Shodashatmakaha, the Atma of all these 6 elements is the Supreme Lord. He is the one who has actually given the life to all these elements, because of which they have their own nature. So all the elephants, they have their own nature. Let's say the air has the nature of flowing, and it is the one which is actually sustaining the life of all the living entities. So it has got this nature only because the Supreme Lord is there who is giving that life to that element. So that means even in our own existence, even every living entity has their own nature, and they have their own uh, relationship with Krishna, and that can actually become, that can come to life, or that can actually have a purpose only when we ourselves connect with Krishna. Otherwise, that existence, that nature has no utility. For example, if we see, there are some, let's say, let's say these some wires, rods, so they're all there, and there are some screws, nuts, bolts. They're all there, keeping them in place, and it has some utility. Now that just one small screw or something nut, it just drops on the ground. Now that the nut, if it is not put it in place again, it has no utility. It is of actually no use. Similarly, we all get our own life only if we have some connection with the Lord. And then Shubhanti. Shubhanti means actually everything becomes actually beautiful only in the presence of the Supreme Lord. So if the Lord is there, the place actually becomes beautiful. Otherwise, the place actually becomes very dull. If you see, even Kunti Maharan is saying, the entire Hastinapur or the entire earthly planet was actually beautiful only because of the footprints of Krishna, which were there, which are actually decorating the whole earth. And now Krishna has gone back to his own abode, and I am unable to see those lotus footprints. So now the entire place has become very dull. So that means Shubhanti means actually the world becomes beautiful, or the living entity also becomes very beautiful only if he has connection with Krishna. Prabhupada would say, just see these hippies, how were they before? They were all so much dirty. Externally also they were dirty, internally also they were dirty. And now they have come to Krishna consciousness. They are nicely shaved up their heads, and they have put on very wonderful dhoti kurta. They have put on tilaks and on their bodies, and they are looking so bright and effulgent. It is only because they have come to Krishna consciousness. If they had been in the same materialistic environment, they would actually be like again same old dirty people. Now Prabhupada again warned all the devotees that if you give up again principles of Krishna consciousness, you will go back to again the same old material life. So that means the beauty is there in our own lives only as long as we are there in connection with Krishna. And then Punanti. Punanti means we all get purified only when we are in touch with Krishna. We can remember these three things: Prananti, Shubhanti, and Punanti. This will happen to the entire cosmos. Yasta Virakta Shavashobhanamata. If we don't have connection with Krishna, then what will happen? It said it is just like a decoration on a dead body. If it keep decorating a dead body, then what is the consequence? The consequence is all the decoration will go into crematorium, and everything will get buried under the ground. So that decoration has no use and no purpose and no utility. Similarly, that whatever we may do in this world, if we don't have any connection with Krishna, that will not last long. It will be there for some time and it will go away. That's what he is saying. And then next, this is also, okay. I have just 7 minutes to go. This is another amazing verse. We can have a 16th verse. Apyanghri mule patitasya me vibhu me vibhu shirasya dhasyan nijahasta pankajam datta bhayam kala bhujangaram hasa prodvejitanam sharanai nrinam. He's saying, now, as soon as I go, what will I do? See, he is actually meditating the entire scene. If you see, Akrura's meditation is so amazing. He is, first of all, he's very feeling himself very humble. And then he is thinking, let me give up all these thoughts. But let me actually meditate on the Supreme Lord. Why should I unnecessarily? Because one statement which Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj says, humility is not just to think how low I am, but it is to think how Krishna is so great. So that means the focus is not on me, but the focus is on Krishna. Because many times humility means we may think or we may have a little superficial understanding that I should think that I'm very low, I'm very low. Actually, that is not just the point. The point is when we naturally think how Krishna is so great, naturally we will become very humble. So in that sense, so he thought first himself very humble, and then he thought, okay, let me give up this thought and let me actually see how, let me meditate on Krishna's lotus feet. Then he said all the glories of the lotus feet. And then he's thinking, now when I go to Krishna, I'll offer obeisances to the lotus feet of Krishna. And when I do offer obeisances, what will Krishna do to me? He's thinking along those lines. He's saying, as soon as I fall at the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna will actually be very merciful to me. What will he do? He'll place his lotus hand on my head. He'll give his datta abhayam, and he'll give his nija hasta pankajam, and he will place it on my head. Shirasa adhasyam. That means he will place on his lotus hand on my head. So what a great fortune can there be in life. So that means he'll get complete shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. And by that shelter, which he'll give, prodvejitanam sharanaishinam nrinam. By that, what will happen is kala bhujangaram hasa. That means the snake of serpent of time, which is actually creating great fear in everyone. So he said, first he gave up those three emotions, negative emotions, which were causing him. One is that fear, another was pride, another was lamentation. He gave up all those. So now he's thinking how he will give up his fear, because that Supreme Lord will come and place his lotus hand, Abhaya Hasta, on my head. Actually, by that I'll be able to give up my fear. And then I'll give up my fear of the how serpent of time that will come and take everyone away. And then also he says, those lotus hands were actually wiping the perspiration from the faces of gopis during rasa dance. So like that, this is what he's saying. Then he's saying, now also he's thinking a very, very amazing verse. This is 18th verse. He's saying, now, okay, he may place his hand on my head, but will he think that I have come for my plan of taking Krishna and Balram away from Vrindavan and planning to slaughter them from the hands of Kamsa? Have I come with that motive? And what will Krishna think? He's thinking, Krishna will understand my motive in my heart. He is not like any other mortal being. So this is what verse it says. Namayya namayyupaishyati aribuddhim achyutaha kamsasya duta prahitopi vishvadrak yo antarbahishchetasayetadihitam kshetragnayikshakyamalena chakshusha. that he will not think I am a Kamsa's Duta. He will not think that I am having Ari Buddhi. He will not think that I am also having a mentality similar to my master Kamsa, but I have a devotion to you. He will understand what is my intention in my heart. Why? Because he is there inside and outside. Antar Bahis Chetasa. And also he is Kshetragna. He knows what is going on within. He cannot be fooled by anybody. He is there within and he knows what is the purpose. Amalena Chakshusha. He has a great purified vision. He has a pure vision with which he can actually see what is the intention within the heart. So why should I fear? And he will know me exactly what I am. So he has that complete faith in the Supreme Lord. He has complete trust. And so that's why once Mother Teresa, she made one amazing statement. She said, the person who is actually very humble, he cannot be affected by neither praise nor by disgrace. A person who is actually humble, he will not get affected by either praise or by disgrace. The reason being, he knows what he is. So that's what she said. That means a person, when he knows who is he, what is he, actually that person will not get affected either by praise or disgrace. So like that, because now that was a little, but this gives much more complete understanding, because the devotee knows Lord is there, like that. So like that. So like this, very beautiful meditation is there on the Supreme Lord, and so like that. So those whatever we have covered is only till 18th verse. So you all also can read up today the future part of the chapter, and also develop our own consciousness much better for Janmashtami. So, and actually I feel myself very fortunate that I got this opportunity to meditate myself, and also to share with you all. So thank you for all giving this opportunity. I would like to thank Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Puran ki jai. Should I ask? If those are devotees who are there online or those are offline, if you have any comments or questions, we can take for a few minutes. Thank you.
Test about lotus feet of Krishna and different science and its import. That is very nice, Prabhuji. Hari bol.
That can't only what I
Really not.
but what you are saying is that only. Ankusha Dhvaja Suru. That is third canto. Third canto, 28th chapter, 21st and 22nd. That is not a part of 10th canto. Yeah. Like that.
In different shastras, there are different techniques. Like you are mentioning about Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. So Kishan Prabhu is asking that different scriptures are mentioning different ways of meditation. He was giving example of Patanjali, where he is saying about breathing. So if you see the Patanjali, whatever meditation that he is referring, of course Patanjali is saying about 8 steps of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, because Patanjali is exact, that entire scripture is meant only for Ashtanga yogis. And at the end that he is saying about 8 steps: Yama, Niyama, Pranayama, Asana, Pranayama, Dharana, Dhyana, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and then Samadhi. So surely, no doubt, when it comes to pranayama, one actually has to meditate. Now that is just a 4th step. But one goes ahead, after Pratyahara comes Dharana and Dhyana. In Dharana and Dhyana, even I think he says about Ishvara Pranidhana. That means actually one is supposed to surrender to the Lord, and surrender also one part is to meditate on the lotus feet. So the Dharana and Dhyana step is, which is actually meditation on the Supreme Lord. So now when we say whether Shukadeva Goswami is giving only devotional, whether he is mixing Bhakti Yoga with Ashtanga Yoga, we may have that question, but actually it is not a fact, because the entire Kapila section, he is completely describing what is Karma Yoga and what is Jnana Yoga and what is Ashtanga Yoga. He is giving actually exact process, which is a bona fide process, because unless that bona fide process is being followed, the result ideally what is supposed to come from the following the path of Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga will not come. So the bona fide process which is to be followed, that is mentioned in Bhagavatam. Even if one doesn't want to do complete Bhakti Yoga, but if one wants to do only Ashtanga Yoga, he has to still follow Bhagavatam and then do Ashtanga Yoga. Then only that will give the fruit of Ashtanga Yoga. The fruit of Ashtanga Yoga, either it is mystic powers or liberation. So that will also come only if he follows that process. Now, that meditation on the Supreme Lord's lotus feet is an element of bhakti which is there in Dhyana Yoga, which actually gives the fruit. So even Jnana or Ashtanga can give its fruit only if it has that element. If it doesn't have that element, pure Ashtanga without the element of bhakti will not give that fruit. That's what actually everywhere it says. Is that okay? But what you now current days, the kind of meditation which people are teaching, that is actually not even bona fide Ashtanga Yoga. That's why they'll neither get mystic powers and nor they will get any higher liberation. They may just build up their body and keep their health nice, but they'll not ascend in any self-realization process. So that's why it is not bona fide. That's why we should ask, because which shastras are you teaching from? Do they have any shastras what they teach? They teach from their own fertile brain. So that will not give any factual results. So we should ask any organization, whenever they are teaching, you should ask, can you tell me what is the reference of whatever you are teaching from? Like that. Is that okay, please? So I think that's it. So I would like to thank all the devotees and for assembling and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavat Puran ki.